Okay, I'm looking to see if this YouTube link will work for us. What are you guys seeing on your screen right now?
Just like a regular Google Hangout, like all the little pieces at the bottom.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what we're supposed to be seeing, right?
I think so. I'm looking for the actual link. I want to make sure we can share it so they can see it on the page. I'm looking for that. Y'all just bear with me one moment.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. I've collected. I connected with YouTube. It said to connect. There was a little YouTube icon here, but it's not really giving me any other options. I've done it before and actually copied the link to the page, but I'm just looking for the link on YouTube now so I can share it.
Yeah. Let's see.
Okay, I've got it.
Ooh.
Okay, good.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. I've collected. It was back on a loop. Okay. Is everyone still there?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, I'm going to share it to the page, and then once Jared gets here, we can get started. Sorry about that.
That was traumatic to hear my voice talking at me.
I was like, oh no, it's a loop. Okay, I've shared the link to the video on the Facebook page too, so hopefully everyone will be able to find the stream okay.
Does that work?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can everybody see the same screen? What's everybody seeing right now?
Little people at the bottom.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
People's faces talking.
There's such a huge delay between the stream and the actual live hangout.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? I'm
Yeah.
getting a delay.
That's how it was during the last one of the Q&A things that was going on for Adobe as well, so might be a thing.
Cool. Where is everybody joining us from?
Richmond.
Richmond. What's your name again?
I'm Danny.
Dan. Anyone else?
Oh,
Yeah.
people's faces talking.
Such a huge delay between the stream and the actual live hangout.
Yeah, I'm getting a huge delay as well.
I'm getting a delay.
That's how it was during the last one of the Q&A things that was going on. Cool.
Yeah, back to perpetual loop.
This is so meta.
Okay.
So is everybody a student, or is anybody actually already working in photography? Trent, what are you going to school for?
I'm for advertising and then video art, so not quite photography, but still have some questions. So
Nice.
Mhm.
And where do you go to school at?
University of South Florida.
Very nice.
Mhm.
It's a Google Hangout. It's like a Q&A with this really famous photographer. But it's awesome because there's like 5 people in it so far, and that's it.
Oh my god.
No, well, kind of, because I'm not in front of the computer.
I'm really gonna text down real quick.
There you go. We'll help him out. You backed on it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm going to give Jared a quick call real quick, and then I'll be right back, and we'll get started. I've got his number, so I'm going to give him a quick call.
Okay.
Where are you coming from, Anna?
New York City.
Ooh,
It's snowing really hard here.
oof. That's not good.
No, it's so pretty. I love it. I mean, it's no South Florida, but it's
When he's hanging out in his tank top.
Yep.
I know. I'm like, it makes me cold just to look at you.
Yeah, the winter struggle here is very strong.
And everyone's in like the 30s, and you're mid to high 80s.
Actually, yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm ready to bust out once it dips below 70, I'm ready to bust out my big coat and boots and Uggs and all that stuff. It'll be perfect.
Busting
Wow.
out big coats in 70s.
Oh man.
It's like t-shirt weather.
Yeah. So have you guys ever been out to New York City?
Long time ago.
Way
Next
back.
time- Next time you all are here, you should come into the MRY offices.
Certainly. Where are they in?
We're in
Dang,
New
in a
York.
Oh yeah, like in the actual city itself, or like?
Yeah, we're in Manhattan. We're like right by Union Square, if you know where that is. He's like,
Let's pull up a Google map real quick.
it's pretty
Yeah.
central.
All right, fair enough.
It's a good area. Yeah, the offices are beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out next time up in that neck of the woods.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh, somebody else is joining us.
Hello, William.
I feel like we're on the Brady Bunch or something. We're like,
Oh God, that'd be fantastic.
If only we could rearrange the squares.
Yeah, I like to have it like framing the person that's up in the main part. That'd be like perfecto. Let's see. A. Hello, A.
Hey, Jared.
Let's see. A. Hey.
What's up? What's going on?
Not much.
How's it going?
I'm probably anybody else in the film program here? Or is everybody photography?
Nope, that's my reading list.
Film-ish, kind of.
The Fro.
where did Dawn go?
Where did Don go?
I'm still here.
There he is. Don as well. It's gonna be confusing between Don and Don.
Am I here? Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, no wonder why nobody was responding to me. What are we doing?
Hi, can you all see me?
Yes.
Killing me.
Can you see me and hear me okay? Hey, Jared. How are you? Thank you for, I was just trying to give you a call. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us. My name is Dawn, and I'm part of the Adobe Student Rep program. And we have Jared Polin here from FroKnowsPhoto.com. Everybody say hi.
Hello.
Love your work, man. Love your work.
Thank you.
And so today we just wanted to take time to find out, for people who don't know who you are, if you could maybe just give us a quick introduction and tell
Who
us a
doesn't
little.
know who I am?
I think pretty much everybody knows you.
Then I think we're good. Is this going out to people or what?
Yes, it is.
How many people are on?
Right now we had 40 that were signed up, and we have about 10 in the room currently.
All right. You guys all know who I am, correct? Is everybody muted or something?
Should we not mute?
No, I want to hear you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way. It's the only way we can have a conversation here.
A little light reading about you.
I listen
I
to
listen to your
podcast every
podcast.
week.
Yep.
So pretty much what we want to do is just have like you said, a conversation.
Okay,
And
everybody mute. We're getting too much reverb.
Yeah.
Okay, is everybody okay? Can you hear okay?
And just raise your hand if you want to get on, then we'll pick you.
I'm going to actually start with questions, and I'm going to open it up with William Tao, if you'd like to start with your first question. And just unmute yourself, William, and I'll pop you up there. Are you typing in the chat box?
He is. We can't hear him.
We can't hear. That's okay. William, while you figure it out, I'm going to cut to Trent, and let's see if we can hear Trent.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome, great. All right, so hold on, let me just dig around for my question for right second. All right, so you say on your website, Jared, that you try to tell stories through your images. Now, is that something that when you go out to create a series of images, do you like go out with a certain shots that you want to grab in mind to convey that story? Or is it a more organic process?
Well, sometimes I pre-visualize what's going on. So if I know what I'm going to be shooting, I've already kind of have an idea of what I'm in for. So, for instance, if I'm shooting the other day, I shot this jazz pianist named Brian Marsala, and he's a pianist. So I know that I want to focus on his hands. I know I want to focus shooting through the Steinway when the piano is up, so that I can focus on his eyes. And what I ended up capturing there was the reflection of the piano in his glasses, so that was pretty cool. But when it comes to something like that, I know I want to get my process of going through a shoot is you got your wide angles, you have your tight shots, you have your ultra tight shots, you have your medium wide. So I like to cover a little bit of everything. That's what I go for, and that way I prefer telling a story in images. I prefer that not just one image represents everything. Sure, if it needs to stand on its own at some point, then that's fine. But a story, is what I love to capture.
So a great answer. Thank you. Okay. Hey, Danny, are you ready with your question?
Not quite yet. Hold on.
So
And do we have anybody who's ready with the next question? And you can also type in the chat box as well.
Questions.
You can also type in the chat box as well, and we can ask questions that way as well. I can just read them to the audience. And I have a question. One of the things that I really loved was the story that you put together with your mother, and I know it's been kind of controversial and you've been asked about it a lot, but it touched me, and I thought it was really deep. I had a friend who passed away from cancer, and I wonder in retrospect if there was anything that you might have done differently, or if you felt like you captured it really true at the time to how it was happening.
What do you think was controversial about it?
Well, I remember reading in some of the comments people had made that they felt like it might be considered insensitive to photograph somebody.
Yeah, you know what I say to them? Fuck them.
That's a great answer.
But no, seriously, fuck. I'll stop cursing. Screw what these people think. I stay away from those comments as much as possible. I can do whatever. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. it was my way of coping with the situation. I hid behind the camera. That was how I hid my emotions. That's just what happened. I captured some amazing... The story there is incredible. It's an incredible story, and it sucks, but you have to tell the bad with the good. And if you're not willing to show the bad... I mean, it's like being under the Bush administration and having everything locked away so you can't see what's going on. They're just telling you they're just propagandizing you, and you're not seeing that. You know, you have to have the bad, and you have to be able to capture it and tell the story. You can't just be sitting there with all roses and butterflies and all that stuff. So no, I mean, for the 3 negative comments or the 3 controversial things, those are just people that aren't secure in what they're not secure in themselves. Because I'm totally secure in everything, and I have no problem expressing myself. I started crying in that video in like 12 seconds. But
absolutely,
that gives people the basically making that and putting that out there shows people that it's okay to show emotion. There's nothing wrong with being an emotional person, and if people can't handle it, screw them.
Good answer, good response. Just to further expand on that just a little bit, is there anything that you feel you do censor when you're putting yourself out there like that? Because you're known for being very candid with who you are. So I feel like, you know, teachers will tell us sometimes, oh, you shouldn't say this or you shouldn't say that. Well, and
you need to first be respectful. If you're not respectful of people, then you're not really... you know, first and foremost, be respectful for what you're out there doing. I'm not going to be disrespectful of people, but I'm also not going to sit back and not stand up for what I believe in. I've always been the person that will stand up for the person that can't stand up. They don't have a voice, so I'm the one who used to get in trouble just because I would stick up for the people that couldn't stick up for themselves. I don't know where that came from. That's just what I did. I don't seek being controversial, but here's the thing with what I do. If you stand for nothing, or you stand for everything, you stand for nothing. I mean, if you just take every side and you flip-flop, then what's the point? And as my dad has always told me, and as the adage goes, it's better to have 50% of the people love you, 50% of the people hate you, than have 100% of the people not give a shit. Because if you have 100% of the people that are indifferent, then you don't stand for anything. So if you pick one side or the other, you stick with it. You own it. You own everything that you want to talk about, and you believe in it, and you back it up. If you're gonna believe in something, you better be able to back it up. So.
Absolutely. Okay. So do we have anybody who has? Let me check the chat log, see if we have any questions.
And how about the 40 people watching? Do they have a way to, or however many people are?
Absolutely. There's a group chat, and I'm gonna check on the event page.
Yeah, let them get some questions in there too.
In the meantime, can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you raise your hand, Anna?
I'm raising it now. I don't know if you can see it, but
I can see it.
Cool. So I'm just curious, Jared. You talk a lot about like certain convictions that you have that you really try to further through photography. It sounds like there are like certain causes that you're particularly interested in. So I'm just curious if there's like, I mean, what's like the main thing you try to reveal in your photographs, or is there like a particular cause or something that you try to further through your art?
Well, I don't really do much. Well, there are causes, but that's not what I'm out to do when I'm shooting. My whole thing is, like we talked about earlier, is telling that story, capturing the moment, capturing people as they are, telling the story as it unfolds. I mean, that's what I get when I tour with musicians, and whether it's a musician or telling my mom's story or photographing somebody knitting or sewing, then I'm going to tell the story of that. To me, it's about capturing people as they are, and I like to let them do their thing and be a fly on the wall and capture what I want to capture. I mean, I stand for what I believe, and I try not to push my... Well, do I push my beliefs on people? I don't know. I'm very opinionated about what I say. I hope that answers that a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting to think about because you seem like such an opinionated person with, like, you know, things that you're really passionate about and interested in. So it seems like a difficult or a delicate balance to try to like reconcile that with the subject of your photographs and sort of like where they're coming from and who they are. So like, I don't know, it's interesting. Have you ever found that like there was a subject that you feel you didn't portray in a way that was as honest as maybe you would have liked?
Well, there's always a way when shooting that you can hide the truth, or you can fudge it a certain way that you want. There's certain times when you're with people, you can make them look one way, and then by just doing something else, you make them look the other. I try to keep people as honest as anything. Like when you shoot a wedding, and you have well, when people always sit there and they're like, well, touch me up and take this blemish out and make my skin look better and do this, and I sit there and I say, no, I'm not taking the time to do that. This is how you look. If you're not happy with certain things that you can change, then that's on you, but I'm not going to sit here and touch you up to be something you are not. You know, people that are afraid to be who they are. You know, if you're not happy with something, then do something about it, but I'm not going to sit here and take every little blemish off of you because that's not who you are, and you should be okay with how you look. And then you should be happy with the shots.
Cool. Thanks.
What else?
We've had a couple of questions that people had asked before. I remember we were talking a little bit about how in some of your videos you talk about fitness and you talk about a little bit about your style and how you look. And do you work out a lot? There's been some like back and forth questions about if you use a personal trainer.
Should I take my shirt off or what?
I wouldn't mind.
You can just Google that. There's plenty of them on my Instagram. I work out. I do 2 days a week. I have a trainer. We work out for an hour. We hit the muscles. We do what we need to do. So I don't work out as heavy as a lot of other people. They're 4 times a week or so. But basically, I'll go back and say why I started working out. I was 29. I was photographing a fitness conference, and I thought it was interesting what these people were talking about and how people got in shape and whatever. And I just felt like I wanted to transform my body. I've never been a fat guy. I haven't been overly large, and I haven't been muscular, but I wanted to transform myself. I wanted to do something, and I wanted to look kind of better. And so my idea as a 29-year-old, I didn't sit there and say, you know, I'm going to do this when I turn 30. This is what a lot of people do. Or like, I'm going to quit smoking in a week. It's like, well, if you really, really wanted to quit, then you would just do it. And so I didn't wait until I was 30 to start. I was actually really ripped by the time I hit 30, which was a good thing. And I actually think it was a major confidence builder for me in front of the camera when I started to make all the videos. I just felt more confident with my arms all pumped up because I liked the way it looked. And I don't know, it just felt better to be on camera there. And you know, that's the fitness thing. You know, I just think it's and actually I have my dad now working out with my trainer too, which is a good thing.
That's great. Okay, so I'm going to see here if we have any questions coming in. Click over to Facebook here.
Come on, we should have a lot of questions.
Okay, we have 2 coming from one, Jean Domingo. Your pics tell a story. Do you crop in camera or post, and why?
That's a good question. I am a non-cropper. I compose as I see in the camera, and that's what I get. I get a lot of flack for this one. If you want to talk about being controversial, people sit there and say that, you know, you should crop. I mean, that's why we have so many megapixels, and that's why we can do this. And I don't. I don't crop in post, and the reason I don't is one of my high school teachers always said, crop in the camera, not in the darkroom. Excuse me, and I had to reword that these days because people feel that, well, you can actually crop in the camera. There's a function that lets you do that, but I just feel that I have great anticipation for the scene or for what's coming up. I like to try to have the right lens on at the right situation, anticipate what's going to happen, pre-visualize the image before it even presents itself so that I'm prepared that when it does present itself, I'm able to capture it. I've got the right lens on, I've composed it properly, I'm close enough, so I like to get it right in camera. And that's not saying that it's wrong for somebody to go out there and crop. I just prefer to have all of the quality of the image. When in the example that my teacher gave back in high school was when you raised the enlarger, the film grain got bigger, and thus the image quality went down. So if you had to do that to crop an image, then you're losing quality. But if you filled the frame fully, you have all of the data to work with that when you do enlarge it to a big-ass print, which is what I do all the time, it maintains its quality. So, yeah, and even with 80 trillion megapixels now, I'm spitting my gum out. What is this? Oh, that's a ball of yarn. One of the reasons I don't want to crop is because I don't want to get in the habit of second-guessing every single picture I take. I don't want to go back and be like, oh, well, this one would look better if I did this. I'll look back and be like, this composition would have been better, but I'm not going to make the change because I think it would form a terrible habit to sit there and make all those changes after the fact, because then you don't. Then where does it stop? You know, what's next? HDR.
So, do you use any post-processing at all afterwards?
Well, you have to. If you shoot RAW, you have to tweak your file. The raw data that you get off your sensor is flat, boring, and plain. But that is the raw information that you're left with to go ahead and do whatever you want with. And I use Lightroom. I tweak my files. I boomify them. I pump up the contrast. I have my own style of processing, and it harkens back to the way I used to process in the darkroom. I like to use a 3.5 or a 4 filter if any of these people still go into the darkroom, because that bumped my contrast. And I had teachers yell at me that the...
Ow.
What?
I said 19!
Who's that? Where's that coming from? I don't know. I think it's A's camera. There we go. Where was I? Cropping, darkroom. I had teachers that would yell at me. They'd be like, the background is too blown out. I'm like, but my subject's face looks fantastic. I'll use a different F word. It looks amazing. I'm like, that's what I care about. Plus, art's subjective. Photography's subjective. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no right or wrong photo. There's rules. You learn them, and then you break them, and you do what works best for you.
Very good. Okay, so we have another question coming off of Facebook from Fiza. It says, when did you realize you had a passion for photography?
That goes back to when I first started. I was 13 when I started shooting, and I loved capturing the moment. I was shooting basketball. I shot sports when I first started, but I would sit on the sidelines at a basketball game for junior high school, and I would shoot. And I just had this knack for anticipation and capturing the moment, and even doing that with a point-and-shoot camera, which I went back and did this year with the same original camera. I went back and sat in the same spot. Basically, what am I, 20, how old am I, 32? Yeah, 32, like 19 years later, sitting in the same spot, doing the same thing all over again, and it was fun. So that 5-minute portrait's up on my site somewhere. But I just loved capturing the moment. And a lot of things have changed today, too. Now with the ability to do video with the cameras, I'm starting to not just see still images in my mind. I'm seeing how it would translate into video, into moving images. Like when I was shooting the piano player the other day, I shot still photos, and I don't like to do both. Like, I don't like to shoot stills and transition to video and back to stills and back to video, because you're going to miss everything. You're going to miss the stills and you're going to miss the video if you're not focusing on one. But during sound check is when I did all the stills, because I had more access to move around. And then I realized that when the show started, I couldn't do as much. Plus, the lighting wasn't as good, and that's when I focused on just doing video for the whole show. So I'm visually seeing how it would be processed at the end. How would it be cut together? I'm just starting to think that way, and I think that's a good progression. Now that we have these cameras that do video, if you don't learn it, you're going to be left behind, because we need to tell stories any way possible.
Very good. Okay, and we've got, let's see.
Can you do it for me?
Question here.
Oh, you mean the other thing? Okay.
All right. Does anybody on the web chat want to chime in with a question?
I have a question, if I can.
Yeah.
Yes, you may.
Normally when you first start out in the craft, you are, I guess you could say, more unadulterated, like raw. You just do whatever. But once you get to a certain plateau of success, like, you kind of lose that ability, or I guess you think first and kind of react later. Do you find like there are things that you missed when you first got into like the industry versus where you are now? Being where everybody's kind of does put you under the microscope as far as the art and the craft goes.
Well, you work out, right?
Yeah.
You have a workout ball there, right?
Yeah.
Then is that a punching bag thingy-mabobber back there too?
No, that's a.
Is that a speaker?
That's a blue screen.
Well, no, next to that, the black thing in the corner near the ball.
Oh yeah, that is a speaker. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, all right. So to your question, does it relate back to like passion? Have I lost passion also? Is that play into it?
Well, I don't think I would say lose passion. I think like where if you could just like you said, working out. When you first go in the gym, you have your own set of goals, and you just like do whatever. You're not really worried about technique, but once you sculpt, you kind of format everything specifically for exactly what you want to build.
Mm-hmm.
So like, do you find yourself wishing like you still had like some fat to burn? You know what I mean? Where it's like, man, I just want to go out, do whatever, and just leave it at that. And I don't have to care about what any blogs are going to say or anybody's going to. That kind of deal.
I get, well, see, I try not to listen to critics so much. Critics or negative comments or things like that. I still go out and shoot what I feel I want to shoot, that I want to portray a certain way. But I also know that I want to put out a certain quality of work that is superior to a lot of other people that are attempting to do what I'm doing. So I'm constantly pushing myself to push the envelope. I want better quality. I want better content, and I know when I'm slacking. I can be lazy at times, and I know what is not working, and I don't like when I do a terrible job. I mean, that nobody likes to do that, but I also want to stay one step ahead of the game and constantly be pushing myself. Does that answer that better?
Yeah, and I guess the root of my question is like, we're all most of us are film students at some like art, and they tell you go be successful, do that, but they don't tell you like the other side of it, like what to expect.
Well, they tell you to go be successful after they cashed your check for 2 or 4 years and want you to find your way in the world, which the majority of photographers that leave school are not going to ever do it as a full-time gig. Now, that's not a bad thing per se. There's not a problem if you have a full-time gig, and then you pick up photo shoots on the side. It has to start somewhere. But I struggled for like 10 years to find my way after college. I had the odd jobs. I had the corporate gigs. I did this and I did that. I started to shoot weddings, and weddings afforded me the opportunity to make enough money to go ahead and sustain myself and not really work while I created content for my website when I first started out. You got to do it. You have to take the jobs, whatever you can get as a photographer. But the world has changed now. There's so many photographers out there, but you may find that the worst photographer in the world gets the most jobs because they just schmooze better, and there's they just do it. So there's no rhyme or reason. You can sit around and say, why aren't I getting these jobs? And this person has terrible work. I mean, I sat there and did that myself. I was like, I have a good website. I've got great work. I've toured with these bands. But why is nobody coming to me? And as my dad wrote in a letter to me many years ago, there's 3 types of people. There's the people who make things happen, as my Skype rings, make things happen, let things happen, and wonder what the fuck happened, right? And then he's like, which one are you? Because you have to figure out which one are you. Are you the person that lets things happen? Do you make things happen, or are you just going to have it all pass you by and never get, never figure it out? So I don't know where I was going with that, but
no, that worked for me. Yeah, that's kind of what.
But well, with school, it's they could tell you to be successful, but you really need to be the driving force behind being a success. With where I was going was with my website. I had these great photos, and I'm like, my work is better than 99 whatever. That's confidence, but 99% of these other people, yet they have all these jobs. So you have to say to yourself, well, what am I doing wrong? I was sitting around waiting for these people to come to me. Then I was like, I need to create something that makes me visible. People are going to see me, and then that was the original idea behind Fro Knows Photo, was that if I put out this content, then more people are going to see my work, and then because they see my work, they're going to hire me. But that actually was wrong. The people that were seeing my work were people that wanted to learn from me, not hire me. So luckily, I guess some people have, like Gary Vaynerchuk and these people have said, I was smart enough to realize that I could either attempt to go down that path to get the people that wanted to hire me, or I could go with the direction that it was going, because it was going to be a successful direction with people wanting to know answers and to look to me as the authority in the field, because I'm the guy answering the questions and showing you that there are no secrets to what's going on. So that's that.
Well, yeah. That answered my question for, you know.
Good. I'm glad we got there.
Very good. So I see we have a couple more questions.
Danny's raising his hand.
Oh, good. All right, Danny.
Speaking of Gary Vaynerchuk, I just watched the Chase Jarvis Live where your tweet got read on their little show. It was something along the lines of, once you get started and get going, do you ever stop? Do you ever feel like your brand, your social media, and everything is just caused a lot of stress on you, or is it just something that you?
Yeah, the reason I asked that, you know, and the way I asked it was, I tried to word it right. When you get to a certain level, when you get to the level where I am at, and some other people, is there a point where it's okay to step away, but not step away forever? And Chase really took the question. I know Gary doesn't stop. I rarely stop at this point after 4 years of pushing and doing this. But I'm at a point, and like what Chase said, is like, it's okay to go away. It's okay to tell your readers that, hey, and be honest and say, I'm going away for a week. I will be back with more stuff when I come back, but I need to recharge. And honesty, and then Gary talks about this, and I've always, my dad, I talked about my dad all the time, but the best thing you can do is be honest with people. If you mess up, just own it. If you own up to it, it's better than trying to hide the fact that you've messed up and just lying about it. Just own it. So do I feel overwhelmed at times? At times. It's been less stressful as of late because I have more content in the can, and I've got Steven who's on the Raw Talk podcast with me, who helps me with video editing. I edit probably 50% of the videos myself, which aren't as edited as well as when Steven does it, but Steven has been such a help for what I do, because he'll come in here, we'll film 2 or 3 videos, maybe 4 videos in a day, and he'll take them home, and he'll cut them up, and he'll upload them to my YouTube channel waiting for me to put them live, and that just frees me up to concentrate on other things, and that's been freeing. Yeah.
If I can ask another question, that's cool.
Yep.
How do you feel about mentorship? Like, do you feel like that is something that's necessary? Do you feel like that's something that's overrated?
Well,
did you have one?
Well, I had mentors. I used to hang out at a camera store called Mid City Camera, which is now the GameStop over there. But I hung out there like it was Cheers, right? I was a 15-year-old kid hanging out at the camera store trying to get as much knowledge as I could. But one of the problems I had was I had a little bit of success getting into publications when I was younger, which was like, I don't need these other people. I don't need to work for them in order to get better. But then you realize that if you can latch on to somebody, if you can find a mentor and somebody to be there to kick your ass and to take you along, take you under their wing, then you're gonna be ahead of the game. Because they will help you so much. And if you can find somebody, it's not easy. You know, I get nonstop emails about people wanting to work with me, and I can't tell you how I decide to work with certain people. I mean, there's some kids that I work with. One kid goes to Antonelli, he's 19. This other kid who's a reader of mine who came out to one of my Frodo walks just has the drive, and he became friends with the kid from Antonelli, and then I invited them over to my house warming party when I moved in. And I helped them. Like, they took the initiative. They stay in touch with me, and it's not saying that other people who take the initiative get the same results. It's just there was something. They're local. We can go hang out. We can shoot together. And now when jobs come up that aren't maybe for me, I can pass them along to these kids and give them the opportunity, and then it's on them to run with it.
Sweet.
So, yeah. Right. What else do we have?
Okay, let's see. William's having a little bit of technical difficulties, but I've got questions. Let's see. Okay, from James Drake. Jared, 2 questions. First, what inspires you? And secondly, how do you consistently come up with fresh content for your podcasts and videos?
All right. What was the first one? Because I forgot already.
what inspires you, and then fresh content.
I like being creative. I just like creating stuff. That drives me. Being creative, finding the images, just building something. Whether it's, I can't say what that was going to be in my head because I can't. I like creating. Whether it's building something from the ground up or talking to somebody who has an idea of how they could do something. And I love the consulting part. I love when somebody's like, I have an idea for this. I don't know what to do. And like I have a friend, she makes these robots. They're these little just robot things, and she has an Etsy store, and people are all over it. They're buying them for cake toppers. She has a business because you can do this. Like, people start businesses. I have one of my readers makes paintings, these square paintings about this big, 4 or 5 inches by 5 inches, of like, they're all cat related. So she gave me these Volkswagen ones. There were 5 color Volkswagens with different cats, and then she painted me a purple one for me because my favorite color is purple, with Mr. Meowgie, which is my dad's cat, and she gave me that one as the gift, and I bought the other 5. Being creative, I like helping people. This girl with the robots, I would just sit there at the bar and talk to her about it and give her these ideas of directions that she can take it, and how she could take it to the next level and how she could build it. And that happens with anybody that I encounter that has the idea. And I'll say that there's a lot of people that want to try to do what I've done on YouTube. And I've talked to a lot of people about ideas, and not one of the people that I've given the formula, because there is no secret, there's just hard-ass work and being good and creating quality content and being good at what you do and staying up with it. Nobody has stayed up with what I've suggested. Nobody has put out the amount of content that I suggest they put out to put all their time into it. And not everybody was in the same position as me. I was living at home. I didn't have to pay rent, and, you know, it was good and bad to be there, but whatever. I stayed focused, and it's being hyper-focused on one thing and being successful at that before you try to branch out into everything else. Question 2 was?
Fresh content. Where do you come up with your ideas?
For the podcast, I ran into a roadblock early. I was doing these flying solo things where I would have people submit questions, and then people just start asking all the same gear stuff. What should I buy? And I get tired of that because that's just gear related. That doesn't matter. But everyday life of photography brings up things, and we don't just talk about photography on the podcast. I talk about life, and that's what I think separates what I do from a lot of the other people that are out there. Is it's life. I talk about things like music. I talk about movies. I talk about food. I don't care. I talk about whatever's interesting me at the time. And sure, it slants back to photography, but everybody's a human. We don't just because we're into photography doesn't mean we're not into music, and we're not into movies, and we're not into food, and we're not into whatever. So topics are all around us. And the best when I first started out, the best content that I would get was user-generated questions, because that's like free content. I started to do the rapid fire. Well, I do the rapid fire critique. I did the Skype line where I would open my Skype line and let people call, and they would call all day, and I would answer their questions. But what I would do is ask their permission to record it, so that when I recorded it, I now have another piece of content that I didn't have to think of. All I had to do, like you asked me you wanted to send me questions, right, beforehand, and I said no. Yeah. I don't want to know the questions. I don't want to know what's going to be asked, because then it's fake. And I don't want to be fake. I just want to, off the top of my head, be able to shoot the answer to, because it's real. So, you know, I don't know where I'm going with that again, but fresh content it's just, there's never-ending sources for it. It's there. You just have to find it and exploit it and kill it and go for it, and then find something else to talk about. So, yeah.
That's a great answer. Yeah, I absolutely did ask you if you wanted questions, and I was really pleased and happy with the response.
Well, obviously we wouldn't have had any questions because nobody had any when we started.
No.
Okay. Lazy college kids.
Okay, so heading back to Facebook here. Let's see. I know you're not a fan of technical questions, but what cameras do you have, and what is your favorite and why? Comes in from Noah Williams.
I shoot with a D4. I had a D3S, I had a D3, I had a D2X, I had a D2H, and people ask, how did you get that? I earned it. I tell people not to be afraid to have the best gear, because what separates you, I'll get back to that question in a minute, but what separates the top guys, I could shoot with any piece of gear. I could shoot with a D3000 and get better pictures than somebody with a D4, because I know what I'm doing. But I think that, you know, you can be really good and be held back. There are limitations to gear. If I was shooting with a D3000 and my job was to shoot a concert professionally, I'm very limited in what I can do with it today. But certain gear, you earn the right to have better gear. When you get to a certain point, that gear is beneficial to you getting pictures that other people aren't going to get. And that's what the D3 allowed me to do, and the D3S. It allowed me to shoot in such a way that other people couldn't reach where I was shooting at those ISOs. Plus, I was able to get into situations that a lot of people can't get into. But I don't have a favorite. I mean, I loved my D3S. I think that was one of the best cameras ever in the history of cameras. So, you know, that was that. I still have my F5. I have an F4 over there. But what did I answer that?
I think that's good. Okay, and then we have from Jimmy Giles. Do you only try to show your best work, or do you believe in showing the not-so-good shots also?
All right, well, this goes two ways. If you were presenting yourself in a portfolio for people to hire you, then you show your best work. If you're doing what I'm doing, which is showing people, like, I present my best work because that is what stands out. But I am not afraid to show people the mess-ups at this point because they can learn from it. And that's the thing. One of the things that I was afraid of back in the day before the site was, oh my God, if I tell people how I did this, then they're going to be able to do it themselves. Nobody can do what you can do. Nobody has your eye. Nobody can see. Are we recording this, by the way?
Yes, absolutely.
Sweet. So I can like steal it and use it for my podcast. This is how you get content for a podcast. When I don't want to, when I'm we've done 64 weeks of podcasts now. That's more than a year, and I've maybe only missed a couple weeks here and there. This is filler content for when there's a time where I'm away or I'm on a shoot or we're not able to. I can take the audio, I can take the video from this, and I can post it up there on my YouTube channel and on my podcast network, and this is content that people can get great information from. And I forget the question.
I'm afraid I got lost in the...
Somebody help me. Hey, help me. What was the question?
Okay. It was
about fresh content and about if you didn't care about putting out your best work.
Oh, right. Yeah, so I do this in a lot of my videos now where I do those first-person shooter projects where I put the GoPro on top of my camera and I show people every single shot. There's times where I'm taking pictures and I see that the composition is going to be off. And I wouldn't take it normally if I was doing this on a job, but I sit there and I take the picture and then I explain later when I take the proper composition. I'm like, I noticed that in this picture there was a big pole coming out of the person's head and I knew that that wouldn't work. So I then went ahead and just recomposed. I took a step this way, and the pole was no longer there. But I want to show those shots, and I also am not afraid to show people that, look, I missed here. But then I saw that I missed, and I got it right. I cut off their fingertips, and I hate doing that. In the next shot, I got it right. Boom.
Right on. Okay, so the next question I've got comes from Jason Hicking. I hope I pronounced that right. Hi, Jared. Just wondering where you see the future of print now that so many people in the industry seem to feel it's okay.
Please say digital portfolios. Is he going to say digital portfolios?
Digital media such as USB sticks or DVDs.
Fuck that.
And cheers from the UK. He says hi from the United Kingdom.
You're the dog's bollocks. How about them apples? No, so there's a time and a place for both. And I shouldn't curse so much. I'm not Gary V. He curses a lot. There's a time and place for both. There's a major difference when you throw your portfolio book on the table to somebody or you slide your iPad across the table and they sit there and they're like, because physically when you hold something that has some girth and immensity to it, then you know that it's going to be much more impressive than if you took a picture of it and just... Yeah, that's if you're sexting. Sorry. It's if you throw a portfolio book on the table, and people are looking through it, and like I have these Adorama books. They're 9 by 12, so they're 12 inches by 9 tall. So when you open it, it's 12 by 18, which by the way is full frame, and I don't have to crop when I do a horizontal in that case. I say horizontal, by the way. So then they're holding on to something tangible. it's bigger and more impressive than when you're just sitting there looking at an iPad. But if you're running and gunning and you need to show somebody something, you're at a concert and you're talking to the tour manager and you flip through your phone real quick and say, this is what I've done. I used to carry around a book of 4x6 prints so that I could hand it to them so I don't have to talk. I don't have to sell myself to them when I can let my work sell myself for me. Because they look at the work and what they used to say is, oh, we toured with these guys, they're awesome. And then that's like an in. They're like, yeah, those I'm friends with that guy. And they're like, oh, me too. And then you're in. So there's a time and a place, and that's why I make big-ass prints. I like 40x60 prints. I like as big as I can make them because, one, that shows quality, and two, if you're not cropping, you have a better ability to blow those images up to astronomical sizes that other people couldn't if they cropped.
Okay.
Passion.
Right on. Okay, and then let's see. This comes from Erwin, and he says from Facebook, how did you come up with the sniff test and the I Shoot Raw campaign?
All right, sniff test goes back to Gary V. Gary Vaynerchuk. For anybody that doesn't know, he did Wine Library TV for 6 years, and he used to do a thing called a sniffy sniff. He sniffs every wine. So he used to sniff the wines, and he used to associate them with something different. Like, I would say that this smells like the color purple. Just for the fun of it, because who knows what the hell purple smells like? But, you know, it smells like something. So that's where the sniff test came from. I figured I would just sniff things and associate it with, like, Lincoln Logs. Because then people see people like uniqueness. They like different. They want to follow somebody. They're into something that stands out. It doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any sense, but people want to come back for more because they want to see what's going to happen next. It's the Howard Stern effect, right? Right. The second question was, I shoot raw. Well, I shoot raw. And it just came to mind that I was like, I shoot raw. And I might as well put it on a T-shirt. And it became one of those things that it's like one of those movements that people shoot raw. They want to feel like they're part of the community. And it's bad if you don't. Now, it's not bad if you don't. You're right. It's theoretically, you can do whatever the hell you want. But everybody needs to have an enemy, right? You vilify something in order to then to find a way. So the JPEG became the villain, and then RAW became the way. And I feel it's the best way to do it, but that's my opinion.
We're good. Okay, now we have William's camera wasn't working, but he had sent me a message. It says, how do we classify people who own expensive cameras and call them? Okay, it says, do we classify people who own expensive cameras and I don't understand the question myself. Okay, hold on.
Rephrase it.
Rephrase it.
Yeah.
How should one charge for their rate for shoots, wedding shoots, photo shoots, and still attract clients, low, high?
Well, that's for you. I can't answer that directly, but I do have a podcast that we discussed. I think it was 2 podcasts on wedding photography. FroKnowsPhoto.com/podcast, iTunes. Raw Talk podcast. Here's my thinking on pricing yourself. You have to be one. If you're going to price yourself high, you better be good. You better be able to back up your price. When I priced weddings, they were $3,500 to $4,000 and higher, because I didn't want to be clumped in with the $1,000 to $2,000 wedding client. Not just the client that you're dealing with, but the other photographers that are out there. I priced myself in a place that, if I only did 12 weddings in a year and I profited $3,000 or $4,000, and you're making 40 or 50 grand off of those 12 weddings, I knew a girl who shot 53 or 54 weddings in a year who's doing a $800 wedding, a $1,200 wedding, and she's over delivering a bunch of shit, a bunch of albums, a bunch of crap. People that deliver. I'm just gonna rant. People that give 2,000 proofs for a wedding. I sit there and say, what the hell can you shoot? What can you shoot 2,000 pictures of? I deliver 350 to 450, and that's a lot. When we shot film, we shot no more than like 10 rolls of film in a wedding. That's 360 pictures, right? And now we're delivering 400 keepers. If you deliver more than 400, you're making it impossible for people to figure out what they want to see. And when it comes to weddings, this comes back to that showing your best work. Oh, and actually this comes back to my dad again, because his girlfriend's daughter got married, and I'm not going to throw the photographer under the bus that he thought he did a horrible job, but he said that the photos, they were looking at the proofs, and the proofs were dark. Now, you have to realize that people that are going to look at proofs, they sit there with the albums or the images and they send them to everybody, right, online. They send them to everybody that was at the wedding. So why not take the extra freaking time, because you're going to have to edit photos anyway. You might as well make your proofs look like the best damn things in the world. So one thing I used to do is I would go through my wedding. If there were 900 or 1,000 photos or whatever between two photographers, I would edit it down to say 400 or 350. I would go ahead and process every one of those images that worked, and I would edit them as if they were being final prints, because when those proofs came out, they popped off the print compared to other people. This is what people are seeing. So if you want them to see shit JPEG straight out of the camera, then by all means give them the crappy work. That means more jobs for me because my work looks better. But when it comes to pricing, you price yourself where you feel that your value is. You know, people don't want to pay photographers that much. If you're in college, they can pay you in pizza, they can pay you in food, they can take you out to dinner, they can buy you a 6-pack of beer, they can buy you something. Now, I don't waste money at the bar on shots because that's a freaking waste of money. Isn't that a waste of money? It's a waste of money to go to a bar and get a shot for like $8 when you could buy a bottle for like $12. You know, whatever. But where was I going? Somebody tell me. I forgot again.
You're talking on pricing.
Yeah, pricing. I'll just run through a basic price. You're just starting out. Take your time. Like, what is your time worth? What would you have to get paid at a job? What would your hour salary be? What would make you happy? Would doing a portrait session at the park of somebody who needs we'll just say an engagement session, so we'll call it 4 hours. So you've got your 20 minutes of travel time one way, 20 minutes. Let's call it a half an hour one way, half an hour back. That's 1 hour down. That's time that you should get paid for. You've got your shoot, which is an hour to an hour and a half. Then you have your editing, which is another hour. Then you have a half an hour of talking to the people about what they like and what they don't like. That's 4 hours. And if you said that was what, $400 may seem a little high, but $375 certainly doesn't sound as high as $400, but it's only $25 different. $375 doesn't hurt as much as $400, yet it's not that far off. Right? $375 for something like that sounds reasonable. $275 sounds reasonable if you don't have a job or you're just picking up some extra cash. You know, even $200 for 4 hours, $50 an hour. Is that better than what you'd get at flipping burgers at Mickey D's? Yeah.
Right on.
All right, let's rapid fire this.
Okay. All right. So as we're coming to an end here, let me see if there's any last-minute questions on Facebook.
Can I give one real quick?
Yes.
Now, primarily, I am a film student, and
when you say film, you mean
film like
moving pictures?
Yeah, moving pictures. And one of my professors got me onto the old vintage Nikkor Prime like lenses.
Sure.
But that's great. You know, I can metabones with my camera and stuff. But I'm looking, like I'm noticing that it's a little different with shooting stills. What advice can you give me, like, on developing that, using those lenses for, like, stills?
Yeah, I can't, because those AI lenses aren't I'm blind. Like, I don't see very well. I don't have great eyesight, and I rely heavily on autofocus. There's people that live in the past with these AI lenses. They're great for film. They're great for that because you don't need the autofocus, right? So. Yeah. I think you need to use different lenses when it comes to stills if you're shooting moving subjects. There's not many people out there today that shoot manual when it comes to shooting. It just, to me, it's hard. And I'm not saying that because it's hard you don't do it. One, you don't need to do it because we have the technology, right? I mean, if you're going to do that, you're going to want to pre-focus where people are going to just pick up a different lens. Seriously.
Cool.
But I also think, just get into shooting too, because if you're more well-rounded, if you can do stills, and I say this to photographers, you've got video right here. You could charge more for video. There's a whole different ball game. People are going to hire. They're going to ask you, hey, you do corporate portraits? Yeah, I do corporate portraits. Okay, you go and you do that, and they go, you know what? We need an interview of our CEO for our YouTube channel. Can you do that? Well, you better be able to say yes in this day and age. That's an extra $500. That's an extra $1,000 in revenue in your pocket because you're able to deliver them something quality. And if that means outsourcing your editing, because editing's a whole other ball game with video. I taught myself how to edit, and I'm not a great editor by any stretch of the imagination when it comes to film. But if I need something done professionally, I've got a person I can go to cut it up, and that's what they do. Well, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, and then we have one last question coming from Trent here, and it says, you say that you enjoy to tell stories through your photography. With that being said, what elements do you look for in a shot to tell the story through your images?
It's whatever presents itself. It's whatever's story worthy. You know, I can't tell you. I can't pinpoint what that is. I can't tell you that. You know, I mean, it's the moment. Whatever the moment is the story. So that's what I set myself out to capture, is the story.
Okay, great. I think that's a really wonderful note to conclude on. Is there anything you'd like to share with us? Any last words?
No, I'm good. Thank you guys for watching. I hope it was good. Was it good?
I loved it.
Great.
Good.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. I just try to go read some of Gary V's books. If you guys really want to get the kick in the ass, what I love about what Gary does is that he doesn't pull any punches. There's no secrets to being successful. You better be good and you better be passionate at what you do. And sure, luck plays a part, but you make your luck. And people say that with photos. Oh, you were lucky to get that. Yeah, but you know what? I was in the right place at the right time. I put myself in that situation. So you make your own luck. You got to be good to be lucky.
Yeah.
Boom. Drops the microphone and walks away.
Well, we were lucky to have you this evening. Thanks again so much. And have a wonderful evening and a happy holiday. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later. And send me a link to this, please.
Will do.
Do you do more of these, by the way?
I do these all the time. I mean, I talk to different schools all the time when they ask. I mean, people ask. What I don't like is when people send me an email with 15 questions and say, hi, can you do this for me? And it's like, hell no. I'd rather talk to you on the phone or on Skype because then, and I don't want your questions. Because people are going to pick questions to ask me. I don't want to hear, so give me a background on X, Y, and Z. Well, no. I like when you ask me to explain myself. No, I'm not going to explain myself. Seriously, at this point, and that's not being arrogant. That's like, I'll give you the cliff notes, but just ask me questions. What do you want to know? You know, I will answer any question, but just give me some rope to run with. Instead of, give people a background about yourself. I'd rather have you pull it out of me than have me... I want people to do their work. I want them to do their research and find out more about me. I mean, you did that, which is good. So that's what I look for. So yeah, listen to podcasts. They're similar to this. I answer people's questions. I like this type of free-flowing thing where people ask questions and I can fire back, and that's what I like. And with Gary V, check out his new book. It's Jab, 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 Right Hook. You can always tweet at him, let him know that I've turned you on to him if you haven't heard him. But what I like about his stuff is that it just kicks your ass into gear and just tells you that there are no secrets. Because if anybody tells you they have the secret formula to being successful on YouTube or how to make $1 million on the internet, anybody that tells you how to make $1 million on the internet makes $1 million off of telling other people how to make $1 million. They're selling bullshit. And if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. There's not like the 4-hour work week. Okay, I'm 1 degree of separation from him. I can talk. I would love to talk to him, but he didn't spend 4 hours creating the 4-hour work week. He busted his ass being a guinea pig for him. Tim Ferriss, by the way, being a guinea pig for himself. But he paid his dues. He put in the work to allow him to only do 4 hours of work a week. I think I could. I think I could maybe go automate it a little bit, but I don't want to do that. I like answering people's emails. I like interacting. I need to turn it off a little bit, but I have to pee.
All right.
Thanks again.
All right, guys.
Have a great night.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you. Thanks all for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, Don.
Gracias, señora.
Good night, everybody.
See y'all.